Hello, my fellow business owners. So, if you guys remember, just yesterday we were doing that advisory call and we were talking about a case where somebody wanted to shut down their business. And I recommended that they should really go back and analyze why they should consider continue to operate that business. There might be still hope. And during that conversation, one of the points that came up was if you do decide to close down your company, you need to follow certain steps. And based on that, I got a few messages on WhatsApp. And by the way, those of you guys who are not messaging me on WhatsApp, if you have a question, you hear something in my videos and you have a feedback, you have an opinion, and you want me to know right away or respond to in my future videos, you can always respond to me via WhatsApp because I'm personally monitoring those and I personally respond back to those as well. So anyhow, I promise that I will give certain steps that you can take to properly close down your company. So let's talk about those. So number one, you should agree to dissolve your company through vote. Now, each state has different rules for that. The problem is this, that most LLCs or even S Corps, they're not really holding meeting minutes. They're not taking votes. They're not really agreeing by involving all decision makers, all stakeholders in the company. And that can cause problems. So if you unilaterally close down that company, one of your partners, one of your members, they can possibly come after you and say, look, I didn't agree to that. So first question you want to address is, do you have a majority vote? And honestly speaking, it really should, everybody should be involved in it. Does everybody agree with it? Now, a lot of time people say, yeah, they agree with it, but they're really agreeing with it verbally. They're not really doing anything. They're not signing anywhere. They're not taking a vote. And that can potentially open you up for lawsuits. So if you have partners, whether they are your brothers, sisters, family members, friends, or people you know who are just business associate, doesn't matter. Please take a proper vote. And those of you guys who are not even shutting down your company right now, maybe you're operating your LLC and you're not really properly taking the meeting minutes, and you don't really have proper member certificates, you don't have proper articles or proper agreements, operating agreements in that LLC, then you do need to add those, because otherwise, how are you going to resolve any dispute that you will come across? So anyhow, first step is get everybody on board, get them to agree, take a vote, have a meeting minute, write everything down, sign it, document it. That's your step one. Clean up your internal house. Number two, you file appropriate paperwork with Secretary of State's office and the IRS. If you're our client, obviously we'll do that on your behalf, or you can reach out to a local attorney who can help you out with that. Shutting down your company doesn't mean that you no longer has to pay your bills. If you have any outstanding bills or debts, you got to pay that. A lot of time people think LLC means that nobody can literally come after you, but that's a little bit more complicated. The idea behind is really protect you against major liability, not really to protect against your bills and debts, because oftentimes those bills and debt are personally signed by you. So if your LLC closed down, they can still come after you. So be very careful with that. If you have small debt, small bills, take care of those. If you have maybe, creditors that you can't pay, that is possible, right? Maybe you have a big bill. You still got to notify all your creditors, that you're shutting down your company. So check with your state policy. Depending upon different states, you might have, you have to do that within a certain time period, but you got to let them know. Once you have done that, obviously you need to complete your tax return at the final return. So we can do that on your behalf. Obviously, if you're our client or whoever does your taxes, you can ask them to do that. Then once you have done the tax return, you got to close out your EIN number with the IRS. You don't want to leave it open and be subject to any kind of fraud or any other issues that might happen out there. Close down all your bank accounts, insurance policies, licenses. You might have some registrations. You might have some utilities, maybe phone service under your company name. Anything that is under that company names really should be shut down. Why? Because you see, what you're doing is you're shutting down your LLC by reaching out to your state and saying, look, I'm no longer operating as a business. But if you still have some other accounts that are operating as a business, it is possible that state can come back and say, look, yeah, you sent this paperwork to shut down, but you're still operating as a business, and now we're going to penalize you for this. So be very careful. Anything linked with that LLC or S Corp, You got to shut all of that down. If you don't, that can be a big problem as well. If you have any equity in the company that was like originally put into the company and that needs to be distributed back to the owners, then divide those assets among your members according to pre-established ownership percentages. Once again, that's why it's very important to have those member certificates and a roster as part of your LLC books that clearly shows who owns what percentage, what was their equity, what did they put in, and how the assets going to get distributed. So keep the records in order. Okay. Now, why are you closing down your LLC? So you need to be very clear about that, because if you're not, then that can also create all kind of confusion as you move forward. So some of the reasons why people shut down is maybe the business is no longer good. There's no need for that business anymore. There's no reason for it to exist. Maybe it's not profitable. Maybe you're not really making any money anymore. Maybe you have disagreements with your members, or maybe you're retiring. So all kind of reasons why you would shut down that LLC. Okay. Now, what happens if you don't follow these steps, and your LLC remains open and you're still operating as a business? So number one, personal liability. Not properly closing down your LLC can potentially result in personal liability for LLC debt, meaning your personal assets might be at risk if creditors come after you, right? Because what you have done is you're kind of confusing now. See, the whole idea of having a separate entity is that you're creating a separation between your personal life and your business life. But now, if something goes wrong with your business life and you're not really managing it as a separate entity, then you're mixing things up together. And obviously you're opening up yourself to personal liability. So be very careful. Second thing to watch out for is fees. Some states impose fees on LLC owners who leave their LLCs open and do not file taxes for the LLC. Additionally, many states charge LLC owners fees just to keep their LLCs open. For example, in California, you have $800 fees. So check out, depending upon what state you are in, even though you think that you're no longer doing business, just because you have that LLC open, that can result into some additional fees for you. So be very careful with that. Third is inability to recover property. If you own property under your LLC name and fail to close it properly, you may not be able to regain ownership of that property until the LLC is closed, and its assets might be used to pay outstanding debts. Another issue is somebody else can use your LLC name. That itself can be a problem, right? Leaving your LLC open without proper closure can make it susceptible to misuse. Someone else might start doing business under your LLC name, potentially causing confusion or harm to your brand. So be very careful with that. Now, let's just say you close down the LLC. Can you reopen it? Yeah, there are options. Many states so if you go into your state's website and you search for the word termination and reinstatement, I think you can find the rules and regulations for that particular state. But number one, you can retain your original EIN number. When you reopen a previously closed LLC, you can retain the original EIN number, which is similar to, let's say, your social security number in personal case. So, individuals who work under their own name, they use their social, and businesses who have separate entity, they use EIN numbers. You can keep your original business name. So if you reopen your old company and providing nobody has taken that name, you can maintain your original business name. So that can avoid hassles from picking a new name and rebuilding your brand or whatnot. Historical business credit information. By using the same business name and EI number, you can preserve the benefit of your historical business credit information, which can be a great advantage to you. Those of you guys who already run the business, you probably understand how important it is to have business credit. I mean, it just opens up so many new venues for you to grow your business. Okay, but sometimes things are just not cool. Sometimes things are bad, and it is a good idea to start a new LLC or a new S Corp. So why would you want to do that? Let's say something bad happened with your company. There was some major instance where your reputation was destroyed, some problem like that happened. So if your previous company reputation has been severely damaged, due to, I don't know, maybe high profile lawsuit, maybe embezzlement, something really disaster, something really, really bad, In that case, you don't really want that name. You don't really want to keep the EIN number. You don't want to have that liability hanging on your head. Let that LLC close down and fresh again under new business. Okay. If you have a crucial owner of a company that leaves, so if a key member of your LLC leaves, and if their name was part of the business name, so for example, a lot of small businesses operate under their name and then they add on partners. And if that original partner, let's just say, dies or he retires or just leaves the company, now what do you do with the company name? So in that case, maybe it might be better to just rebrand and start a new LLC. What if your company had bad business credit, because of bad payment history or some other issues or whatnot? If your previous company had a poor business credit score and you anticipate needing significant credit for your new venture, then starting a new LLC or S corp might be a better option. If you cannot pay your debt, so you do understand, right? In US, one of the cool thing is bankruptcy. So if you borrowed funds under your company name, not under your personal name, under your company name, and you cannot pay those debts anymore, you can file bankruptcy. If your LLC can't cover its debt when closing, declaring bankruptcy might be necessary. In such cases, starting a new LLC can be more straightforward than dealing with complexities of bankrupt LLC. But once again, something as serious as that, I would strongly recommend that you talk to an attorney to kind of figure out, make sure all the boxes are checked and you're not really held liable for anything personally. However, general rule of thumb is that in most LLC bankruptcies, owners are not held personally liable for business debt. But sometimes, or actually, let's see if you're signing up a lease and you go to a landlord that, hey, can I do a lease under my company name? More than likely, they're going to say, look, we need a personal guarantee. And same is true for many loans. That's why I keep saying you got to build up your business credit. But in most cases, especially if it's a new LLC, then you probably gave business credit. And if you gave business credit, you gave personal guarantee. If you gave personal guarantee, then that means, you as a LLC owner or owners, because LLC can have more than one owner, that can make all of them personally liable for debt in some cases. So just be very careful. And that's also important. If you're joining somebody's other LLC, then run it by your attorney and ask them, hey, look, if this company goes out and raise some additional capital and for whatever reason they cannot pay the capital, am I personally liable for that debt? Many times people invest in so many different ventures. They don't ask that question. They have no idea. And then something goes wrong and they can be held liable. So if you have made personal guarantee to creditors and your LLC goes through bankruptcy, you could potentially lose some of your personal assets because of that one silly mistake. So those are some of the things you want to keep in mind when you're shutting down your business. However, that's just the practical aspect of things. I think you should also go back and watch my other video where I talk about why you might not want to close down your company. Maybe there is a way to make it work. You need to really identify, why did you start that company? If that why is still relevant in today's world. If it is, what problems are you running into? What is making you shut down this company? Can you find a partner? Can you find somebody who can help overcome some of those issues that you're running into? Maybe you need to just simply raise some capital. Maybe you just need to acquire a new skill. Maybe you just need some customers and you need to find somebody who can link you up with the customers. So depending upon what the problem is, and oftentimes your advisors, people that you work with, people you hang out with, some of the people that you listen to, they can be a great help in this. Before deciding to shut down, run this idea by them and see what they say. You'll be surprised how many times people say, oh, you know what? Let me connect you with John Doe. He can probably help you out. Why don't you have a conversation? And that's what you're looking for. You built this business not to shut it down. I mean, obviously, if you want to shut down, we are here to help you. No big deal with that. But you didn't set this business up to shut down. Sometimes what I see is there are multiple people are doing the same business, and maybe you guys can join hands and put all of your efforts together and make one successful business instead of having 4 not so successful businesses. So there are always ways to make the business work. You just need to think about it from a business point of view. And that's why it's important to bring a third party into the picture. one advice I always give clients is always seek out paid consultations. Because what happens is when people pay for consultation, whoever is consulting, whoever is giving advice, it could be us, it could be an attorney, it could be some third party, is they have a responsibility to earn their dollars. They need to think, they need to put their thinking hat on and see what's in this client's best interest. Now, yeah, you're right. Not everybody would do that. But I think most people who are legit business owners, they're doing it for a living, they understand that. So I'm hoping that you're going to walk out with something important that you're missing out. And that one important point can save your company. That can save the hard work that you have put into the company. Anyhow, if you have any questions or want to know more about our products or services, you can definitely reach out to me and I'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you.